Saw Gerrera had a complex character and life inside of Star Wars, seeing the end of the Republic to which he fought with turn into the Empire he feared the most. Gerrera was a Onderonian resistance fighter who was the leader of the Onderon rebels, and he fought against the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars. Instrumental to the rebel liberation of his homeworld during the Onderonian Civil War, he later became a key member in the fight against the Galactic Empire and the formation of the Alliance to restore the Republic. His tactics against the Empire led him to be seen as an extremist, one whose notoriety was recognized by the Empire and many years even the New Republic. During the Onderonian Civil War, Gerrera fought on the side of the Onderon Monarchy as he tried to remain neutral during the Clone Wars, but the CIS ousted the monarchy and installed a puppet leader, and anyone who tried to stop this leader would be labeled a terrorist, which is the first place we see Saw Gerrera with this label.
If we give up now, everything we fought for, everyone we lost, will have been for nothing. I won't let that happen.
Following the Republic's transformation into the Galactic Empire, Gerrera's militia was branded an insurgency by the Galactic Empire due to their resistance against the proclamation of this new order. Despite their role in liberating Onderon during the Clone Wars and their position as allies to the Republic, they were still labeled an insurgency terrorist group by the Galactic Empire.
The clone army under his command, Palpatine will have control over the entire galaxy. Unless we stop him.
Gerrera, fighting any forms of oppression, would eventually find himself fighting the Imperial military, organizing a group known as the Partisans. Aiding and supplying weapons from the Escalation system, a neutral zone in the corporate sector supplying arms to both sides, the Imperials and the Rebels, and this weapons running network was all fabricated by Orson Krennic to arm small uprisings and use them as an excuse to take over small planets heavy in resources needed to build the Death Star. Gerrera would soon realize that his weapons running network was all being shadow ran by the Empire, so he would end up sabotaging this black market to strike back at the Empire. Krennic's involvement with the Partisans would even catch the eye of known Empire defector and key member to the Death Star Initiative, Galen Erso, where Gerrera was tasked with smuggling and protecting over his daughter, Jyn Erso. Gerrera would go to great lengths to keep this task a secret. He would even torture his own partisans for the fear that they knew Jyn's real identity and connection to the Empire, and would use her for extortion, and his use on torture of his own partisans was a criticism of his own people, and not only the people that call him a terrorist. Later on, he would help the Wookiees on here.
My companions and I came to Kashyyyk to disrupt Imperial supply lines.
Continued resistance against the Empire with Cal Kestis attacking a refinery, and on a mission to Insagi, he infiltrated the Sakula Blossom Festival, and he killed the governor Kor Tovervin, a personal friend of Palpatine's, and he and his partisans massacred the festival, killing Imperials, chieftains, guests, and many civilians to send a message to the Empire. Many people thought Gerrera's attack on a flower festival, killing the governor, was a bit extreme.
I don't care.
But however, Gerrera saw his point of view as the Empire was doing worse things, and he would stop at nothing to send a message to the Empire.
Now that's how you deal with the Empire.
Gerrera would go on a number of other missions, including the investigation of the genocide on the Geonosians, in another link to the Death Star, and countless other station bombings and terror attacks, and he even killed Moff Panaka in a bombing attempt, another longtime ally of Palpatine. Fighting the Empire all these years, Gerrera lost his right leg and he struggled to walk on a cybernetic replacement, and his lungs had also been damaged, confining him to a pressurized armor suit requiring him to regularly breathe oxygen. He would eventually relocate to Jedha, a planet being mined for its kyber crystals, and Gerrera led numerous strike missions there, and he was even reunited with Jyn Erso. However, Jedha would be his end as he was killed in a testing of the Death Star. With Saw Gerrera being killed, he left a complicated legacy, as after his death, the remaining partisans regrouped and formed the Dreamers with a complicated past. By the time the Dreamers were formed, many people in the Republic only saw Saw Gerrera as violent extremist, represented the worst of the Rebel Alliance, aka terrorists in the name of freedom. Despite his extremism, Gerrera himself did not like being considered a terrorist, rather he considered himself a patriot and that his resistance was not the same as terrorism.
I'm not a terrorist. I'm a patriot.
On the contrary, the rest of the rebellion thought he was unrestrained by any ethical concerns, and as a result he was willing to do just about anything to bring down his enemies.
Our enemy shows no mercy. Neither can we. I don't care.
Including the torture of Imperial prisoners and the willingness to treat civilians as collateral damage, strained many good favor relationships he had with the Rebel Alliance, making him an outcast in an already extremist group. Gerrera lived life by a dedicated cause, giving the Empire the terrorists they needed.
For the cause!
The Empire played him. They knew they could sell him weapons and start insurrections, thus allowing the Empire to occupy the planet further, and knowing he would use any means necessary, they would paint him as horrific and the reason bringing order was necessary.
The Clone War may have ended, but a civil war is about to begin.
And they also knew his radical actions would cause infighting between the rebellion, thus helping the Empire, and they killed him using a Death Star in many ways he helped create. He may have always been fighting the good cause, but was he a freedom fighter or a terrorist?
You're Saw Gerrera, trained by Captain Rex and General Skywalker to fight for the Republic.
And with that, subscribe if you would like, and until next video, goodbye.